You're going to need about 10 warehouses full of samples to upgrade all of your ship modules. As a longtime player, if they ever add more, the same thing applies. I'll be going over the best ways to farm them, including loadouts and missions to pick that have them in droves. First, let's go ahead and cover the basics. To get samples, certain objectives, including side or even main, will have samples more often than not. And then you have your points of interest, indicated by diamonds on the minimap. These almost always indicate there's samples in the area. Once the samples are gone, it turns from a diamond to a kite. Samples have different shapes, but only 3 icons: common, rare, and super sample. Ideally, the max difficulty is where you go to get the most samples. On certain mission types, however, you can get away with being on level 8 and maybe even 7, and you'll still have the same sample count more often than not. But if you want super samples, you have to be on level 6 difficulty minimum. The single best mission for common samples is Cleanse Infested District. You can get 80 commons alone without having anything else. Realistically, bring the sample scanner to make that far more consistent and achievable. You can get 20 rares and 5 super samples on Helldive difficulty or higher. All because you have the Shakira hotels, the main objective that spawn 10 commons around them, and they added that number to the base pool of roughly 40 commons for these high-level missions. This mission is only found on the city maps, and a benefit is you now have sieve troopers who take the aggro from bugs and give you far more freedom to be a simple sample farmer, tending to your livelihood. And don't worry about Bile Titans, Chargers, and Impalers. They don't tend to spawn that much on the city maps. I want to save y'all some time and say that points of interest on the city maps tend to be very difficult to full clear and turn into kites. I don't know where they're hiding the last 1 or 2 samples, but I never turn them into kites for the most part. So just gather what you can, look around the obvious places, and then skedaddle. It'd be wise to mention that samples are a shared resource. All that matters is they get extracted. If they don't, no one gets any. If they do, the whole team gets the max amount extracted. For those curious, restore air quality and purge hatcheries in the city are not great for samples. You get 40 common, 20 rare, and 5 super samples. You're way better off doing a Blitz mission, which has a short time frame but a much smaller map and makes it far easier to collect a bunch of samples. Those tend to give you 40 rare, 40 common, and 7 super if you're on Super Helldive. For loadouts, I never see anyone bring the best booster for getting samples. Sample Scanner gives you a 15% chance to duplicate the sample you picked up, which includes common, rare, and even super samples. Probably because the folks that have it are already maxed out and don't need them anymore. But if you already have a party with low levels and folks are bringing Vitality Booster, Stamina Enhancement, and Hellpod Space Optimization, the 4th pick is a flex one. Just take Sample Scanner, even if you don't need samples yourself. Look out for the others in this case. I do it all the time. It helps. It's also pretty cool to get more samples in the game. Technically allows. You'll go from having 80 common to close to 90. Sample Scanner is found in the Masters of Ceremony Warbond. Sample Extricator is in Borderline Justice. This has a chance for heavies, elites to drop a sample at their feet, capped at 10. The only thing with that is you don't tend to go and loot bodies like it's an RPG, but it's worth bringing if you have nothing else to fill that slot. On the free Warbond, for folks that don't have either of these two, get UAV Recon Booster. Increases your UAV range, and in this case, it will make it so you can find points of interest from further away, which is massive for getting samples. Just make sure your compass is turned on in your HUD settings, which it should be by default. And now question mark will be a point of interest. Go there, loot it up, and then get going. Your stratagems depend on the mission you pick. For Shakira Eviction, I'd go ahead and recommend taking the FRV for good mobility, as well as the Warp Backpack. There's quite a few structures you can't warp onto directly from the ground. Drive the FRV up and get on the roof and warp from there, saving yourself a little bit of time. You could actually bring the Tesla Tower, which is tankier than every other sentry, and use that as a monkey bomb, a decoy that attracts all the bugs and buys you more time. Just make sure it's far enough away from you that it doesn't get to hit you or chain and kill you. Lastly, I'd recommend the machine gun sentry or a strafing run, depending on if you think you'll run into a spore spewer or Shakira hotel. And for your equipment, I'm rocking the crossbow, talon, and power tech grenades. If you don't have crossbow, definitely bring a grenade that has a bunch of extra throws. In this case, power tech grenade. If you have crossbow, you could actually swap off that nade to maybe thermites if you think you'll have chargers and an issue with that in general. Your choice. The armor in this case, because I'm rocking the sample scanner, is going to be the Halo ODST Helljumper, giving you the same effect as the radar booster, but in this case on the armor. If you don't have this, completely fine. bring medic or something like that. You can have more stims. More stims is more stamina. More stamina is more ability to traverse the map quicker. The loadout I use on Blitz Bugs is pretty much the exact same thing. I'm just swapping out the last 2 stratagem slots to Quasar Canyon and Strafing Run. If you're going to do Blitz missions, try and find some like-minded individuals. Hey y'all, you farm some samples? Oh, you're not? Okay, cool. Just keep doing that until they say yes, and go in there with a game plan. If you're in a 4-man, you have 2 folks take the bottom half of the map, and 2 folks take the top half of the map, saving a ton of time. And maybe have an FRV or close rifle. Close rifle person sniping out Bile Titans. They have a crossbow too, closing bug nest, and then once you're done clearing everything out, you can go and loot the samples. I feel like that's the smoothest way, because I did it solo into random groups, and man, nobody is grabbing samples. Even the folks that need them, level 15s and 20s. I know y'all have ship modules that aren't unlocked yet. What are we doing? They're focusing on experience. The general takeaway from missions is Blitz can be great for samples. It just depends on the folks you're playing with and the difficulty you choose. If you want to farm solo into randoms, choose level 7 difficulty here. Otherwise, I recommend the Shrakira Hotel Eviction mission. It's godlike. I do want to cover some things for samples in general, some tips and whatnot, so I'm going to go and do that right now. For terminids, you'll occasionally stumble upon either a single bug nest or double bug nest that looks a bit weird and has 10 plus samples. Stalker lairs are another example of a side objective that have a bunch of samples around them. Same thing goes for spore spewers. On higher difficulties, they tend to have more, so make sure if someone snipes it from Narnia, you go and collect the samples, because in those cases, for Stalker lair and spore spewer, they don't tell you they have samples. There's no indication of, you got them all, guys, you're good. I'd recommend turning on your sample counter. Go to Options, HUD, and scroll to Sample Count Visibility. Make it visible. When anyone carrying samples dies, you'll see a vial container on the minimap, and it has a line depicting how much samples they had in relation to the amount you've captured or collected so far. If it's pretty full, you might want to get it. Super samples in city maps can appear around buildings or at statues. For the regular maps, it'll be near the sample rock 99.9% of the time. And sometimes it'll be a fake sample rock that doesn't have them, but another one exists in the map itself. And if you're on regular missions on Super Helldive, you can get an egg or a bot skull, and if you extract with it, it gives you 2 super samples and 4 rare samples. For POIs, there's a crash site landing, which can either spawn samples in a group towards the right, or it spawns a little mini crash ship that can have super credits and whatever else. And the actual crash site, where it's dug into the ground, you'll have 2 samples there chilling. I won't explain every example of this, but I will say there's no need to walk up to the small little hatch opening in the ground. That doesn't really have any samples ever. It just has a chance to spawn a support weapon of some kind. Maybe ammo, maybe nothing. So that's the one thing to just ignore, unless you are curious. I'm sure someone noticed the initial clip that had about 10 samples in a small location. That wasn't modded. That was a mission in the game about a year and a half ago at this point. The devs took it out, said they'd fix it, bring it back. That has not happened yet. I went to Sweden because they brought me there, and I told the devs, hey y'all, maybe you should work on a sample mission, because I used to go into that mission itself when I didn't even need them to pick them up. I found it fun. It was a progressive thing I could do, get more samples than last time by myself essentially, since in most cases folks were focusing on the mission and no one was grabbing samples. Shocker, that also happens today. And now we have folks that really need samples. I think it's a great time to bring back either a sample-focused mission or some sample-focused objectives. I think the Shrakiri Eviction Hotel mission is decent, but it could be better. Because farming 2 samples in 1 POI ain't it, chief. I'm gonna say that right now. If you want to see that improve and other things that are basic quality of life features, leave some feedback in the forums they put in the Discord all the time. That's the stuff they could actually change, and if enough folks talk about it, we'll actually see some change. That is all I have on samples for now. I'll make a walkthrough guide on the Shrakira Hotel Eviction mission sooner than later, hopefully. I do want to say if you're a higher level player that has the sample scanner booster, bring it for the lobbies. Just help out. Why not? And try and just collect them if you see them. If you're a low level person that needs samples, or just in general you need samples, communicate that. Please say something. Otherwise, folks will go on autopilot and they simply won't pick them up, because they haven't had to in so long. We have not had to pick up samples in forever. So remind them. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a good day.